New York City, August 1900. The temperature has been above 90 degrees for 6 consecutive days. By the time the milk reaches your door, it has already begun its transformation. From nourishment to poison. From sustenance to threat. In that single summer, contaminated milk killed more than 1,500 children in New York City alone. Not from disease, not from epidemic, simply from milk that had gone bad in the heat. Because in 1900, in the richest city and the richest nation on Earth, there was no reliable way to keep food cold, no way to stop the clock, no way to defeat the fundamental law that had governed human existence since the beginning of time. Everything spoils, everything dies, everything rots. For most of human history, cold was seasonal, a gift from winter, impossible to preserve. But in the early 1800s, a Boston businessman named Frederick Tudor had a radical idea. What if you could harvest winter, cut it into blocks, wrap it in sawdust, and sell it in summer? They called him the Ice King. And by the 1850s, Tudor was shipping frozen water from New England to the Caribbean, to India, to the far corners of the world. It was magnificent, it was profitable, and it was completely unsustainable. By 1900, the icebox had become standard in American homes. A wooden cabinet lined with zinc or tin, with a compartment at the top for a 50-pound block of ice. The ice melted, creating cold air that drifted downward, keeping the food chamber below at perhaps 50 degrees Fahrenheit, for perhaps 36 hours, if you were lucky, which meant you needed constant delivery. The Iceman came daily, sometimes twice daily in summer. He knew your family, your habits, the layout of your kitchen. He was as essential as the postman, as regular as sunrise. By 1907, the natural ice industry employed nearly 90,000 Americans. It harvested over 15 million tons of ice annually. It was a cornerstone of the economy, and it was about to become completely obsolete. The story of artificial refrigeration begins not with food, but with curiosity. Pure scientific obsession. In 1755, a Scottish physician named William Cullen conducted an experiment that would echo through the centuries. He placed a small amount of ethyl ether in a vacuum chamber and watched what happened. As the ether evaporated, it absorbed heat from its surroundings. The temperature dropped. Ice formed. Cullen had demonstrated a fundamental principle of physics. Evaporation causes cooling. He published his findings, satisfied his curiosity, and moved on. It would be another 75 years before anyone thought to turn this parlor trick into something useful. The first practical refrigeration machine wasn't built to preserve food. It was built to make beer. James Harrison, a Scottish immigrant to Australia, ran a newspaper in the sweltering heat of Victoria. While cleaning metal type with ether, he noticed the same phenomenon Cullen had observed a century earlier. The metal became cold. But Harrison saw beyond the science experiment. He saw industry. He saw commerce. In 1856, he patented the first vapor compression refrigeration system. The principle was elegant. Compress a gas until it becomes liquid, releasing heat. Let the liquid expand back into gas, absorbing heat. Repeat the cycle continuously, and you could pump heat out of an enclosed space, making it cold. Harrison's machines kept beer cold in Australian summers. They allowed meat to be transported across continents without spoiling. But they were enormous, industrial, dangerous. They used toxic gases like ammonia and sulfur dioxide. The idea of putting one in your home would have seemed as absurd as installing a steam locomotive in your living room. The refrigerator's journey from factory floor to family kitchen required a uniquely American combination of ambition, engineering, and commercial instinct. In 1913, Fred Wolf of Chicago invented the Domelray, the domestic electric refrigerator, an ice-making unit that could be mounted on top of a traditional icebox. It was clunky. It was expensive at $900, equivalent to roughly $25,000 today. And it required the compressor and motor to be installed in the basement, connected to the icebox by long pipes running through your walls. It was also the beginning. At the same time, a French monk-turned-physicist named Marcel Audefren had designed a refrigeration unit that could be sold as a single appliance. General Electric bought his patent and began production in 1911. These early models were monuments to inconvenience. The compressor sat exposed on top of the cabinet, humming loudly, leaking occasionally, requiring constant maintenance. They used toxic refrigerants that could kill you if the system failed. And the systems did fail. Methyl chloride and sulfur dioxide leaks caused deaths, fires, evacuations. Refrigerators were seen as dangerous appliances that only the brave or foolish would install. By 1920, fewer than 200,000 American homes had electric refrigerators. The icebox still reigned. The Iceman still came daily. What refrigeration needed wasn't better engineering. It needed safer chemistry. Thomas Midgley Jr. was a mechanical engineer with a gift for solving impossible problems. General Motors had given him a challenge that seemed insurmountable. Find a refrigerant that was non-toxic, non-flammable, stable, efficient, and cheap to produce. 5 requirements that had never existed in a single molecule. Midgley tested compound after compound. Each failed at least one requirement. Too dangerous, too unstable, too expensive. And then, in 1928, he synthesized something new. Dichlorodifluoromethane, a colorless, odorless gas that met every single criterion. He called it Freon. To demonstrate Freon's safety, Midgley performed a theatrical experiment at the American Chemical Society conference in 1930. He inhaled a lungful of Freon, held it for several seconds, and then exhaled it across a candle flame. The flame extinguished. Midgley smiled, very much alive and unharmed, with subtle irony. The audience applauded. The refrigeration industry had its miracle molecule. What they didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that this miracle would eventually tear a hole in the sky itself. But that realization lay 40 years in the future. For now, Freon was salvation. Freon was... With safe refrigerants and improving technology, the refrigerator industry exploded. In 1930, 1 million American homes had refrigerators. By 1940, 44%. By 1950, 90%.
The new Frigidaire, where yesterday's ice bills melt away. Keep food fresh for weeks, not hours. The modern kitchen starts here.
Manufacturers competed on design and features. Shelves became adjustable. Freezer compartments grew larger. Colors appeared: turquoise, pink, yellow, turning appliances into style statements. And as refrigerators entered homes, something profound happened. Something that went far beyond keeping milk fresh. Shopping patterns changed completely. In 1900, housewives shopped daily, sometimes multiple times per day, buying only what could be consumed before spoiling. By 1950, families shopped weekly. They bought in bulk. They planned meals days in advance. An entire week's food could be safely stored at home. The average housewife gained back approximately 10 hours per week. Time previously spent shopping, checking food, discarding spoiled items. 10 hours? Time for work, for education, for leisure. The refrigerator didn't just preserve food, it liberated time. But the transformation went deeper still. The refrigerator didn't just change kitchens, it rewired civilization. Agriculture transformed. Farmers could specialize in single crops, knowing their harvest could be preserved and transported thousands of miles. California could feed New York. Argentina could feed Europe. The average distance food traveled from farm to table increased from 40 miles in 1900 to 1,500 miles by 2000. Cities sprawled. Before refrigeration, people had to live near food sources and markets. After refrigeration, you could live anywhere and simply drive to a supermarket once a week. Medicine advanced. Blood could be banked. Organs could be transported. Vaccines could be stored. The cold chain, continuous refrigeration from manufacture to injection, would eventually save more lives than perhaps any other single innovation in medical history. the restaurant industry exploded. Fine dining became possible year-round, independent of seasons. Exotic ingredients from distant continents appeared on menus in landlocked cities. Today, 3/4 of the world's households own a refrigerator. In developed nations, nearly 100%. This single appliance is responsible for reducing food waste by an estimated 40% compared to pre-refrigeration eras. But every revolution exacts its price, and the refrigerator's bill came due in the stratosphere. In 1985, scientists discovered a hole in the ozone layer above Antarctica. The culprit? Chlorofluorocarbons, Freon. The miracle molecule that had made safe refrigeration possible was destroying the atmospheric shield that protected all life from ultraviolet radiation. Thomas Midgley's demonstration in 1930, inhaling Freon to prove its safety, had been tragically narrow in scope. Freon was safe for humans to breathe, but released into the atmosphere, it rose to the stratosphere where ultraviolet light broke it apart, releasing chlorine atoms that destroyed ozone molecules. A single chlorine atom could destroy 100,000 ozone molecules before being neutralized, and the CFCs already released would remain active for over a century. The response was unprecedented. In 1987, 46 nations signed the Montreal Protocol, agreeing to phase out CFC production globally. It remains the most successful environmental treaty in history. Today's refrigerators use different refrigerants, hydrofluorocarbons, then hydrocarbons, constantly evolving as we balance efficiency with environmental responsibility. And slowly, impossibly slowly, the ozone layer is healing. Complete recovery isn't expected until 2070. There's another cost, less dramatic but equally profound. We've forgotten what food costs. Strawberries in December, asparagus in March, mangoes in Minnesota. The refrigerated supply chain has severed the connection between food and season, between abundance and scarcity. We waste 30 to 40% of the food we buy in developed nations. We fill our refrigerators with good intentions and forget what's inside. Food that would have been precious in 1900 now quietly molds in the back of our crisper drawers. Because here's the paradox. The refrigerator slows decay, but it doesn't stop it. It gives us time, but not infinite time. It shifts the expiration date, but doesn't eliminate it. We've become careless with abundance. The very technology that defeated spoilage has made us forget that everything eventually spoils. In Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry, you can see them side by side. The oak icebox from 1900, elegant and obsolete. The modern refrigerator, humming with compressors and sensors, monitoring its own temperature, tracking expiration dates, ordering groceries automatically. The contrast tells a story of technological acceleration, from ice blocks to smart appliances in a single century, from natural cold to artificial cold to intelligent cold. The refrigerator is the work of dozens of inventors across 3 centuries. Scientists pursuing curiosity, engineers solving problems, businessmen seeing opportunity, chemists creating miracles and occasionally disasters. Today, refrigeration consumes approximately 15% of all global electricity. It represents one of humanity's largest ongoing energy expenditures. We spend more energy fighting entropy, creating cold in a universe that tends toward heat, than on almost any other single purpose. And yet, try to imagine removing refrigeration from modern life. Try to picture cities without refrigerated food distribution, hospitals without blood banks, vaccines without cold storage. The COVID-19 vaccines that saved millions of lives required storage at -70 degrees Celsius. Without the infrastructure built over a century of refrigeration development, without the knowledge accumulated from billions of refrigerators in billions of homes, those vaccines couldn't have reached the people who needed them. The refrigerator, born from a desire to keep beer cold and milk fresh, became the foundation of modern medicine, agriculture, and urban civilization. There is a machine in your home that runs constantly, that you rarely think about, that your ancestors would have considered miraculous. It hums through the night, a mechanical lullaby. It preserves your food, your medicine, your convenience. It reshapes your time, your choices, your relationship with abundance. In 1900, 1,500 children died from spoiled milk in a single summer in a single city. Today, that death toll would be unthinkable, unconscionable. Not because humans are different, but because we can keep milk cold. The refrigerator didn't just change food, it changed time itself. It gave us tomorrow. It gave us next week. It gave us the ability to plan, to save, to store. And in that humming white box in your kitchen, in that constant battle against entropy, in that machine that never sleeps, you'll find one of humanity's greatest triumphs. We learned to steal time from decay. We learned to hold back the inevitable. We learned to make summer last, at least until the power goes out.